This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by American Helix. The American Helix is a revolutionary new concept in smoking technology. Based on Bernoulli's principle, the shape of the pipe creates a Venturi effect, causing a swirling motion of the smoke through precision microholes that are produced for the intake system. This results in a slower burn that conserves tobacco and gives a smooth, refreshing smoke, making the Helix the smoothest hitting pipe on the market. For further info or to locate their products, you can find them on Facebook at facebook.com/SS Helix or contact them signaturehelix@gmail.com. That's signaturehelix@gmail.com. This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by Mountain Glass Arts. For the month of June 2016, Mountain Glass is offering 3 sales. Their first sale is their Boros sale number 1, North Star First Quality Rods at 30% off. Boros sale number 2 is AccuGrind Joints at 30% off, and to receive discounts on either one of these 2 sales, all you have to do is put in the code NORTHGRIND at checkout. That's NORTHGRIND at checkout. And for all you soft glass nerds out there, soft glass sale creation is Messy Rod, 30% off. All you have to do is put in the code MESSY, MESSY at checkout. For any more questions, comments, or concerns, just go to mountainglass.com. That's mountainglass.com. This is the Wise Guy Radio Show, a podcast dedicated to educating and inspiring through conversations with today's top talents in the world of glass. We will be dissecting their journeys in hopes to deliver actionable content that you, the artist, can start implementing now, helping you grow not only as a creative spirit, but also a successful artistic entrepreneur. With a little organization, relationship building, and your artistic ability, you can obtain greatness. Climb aboard, whether an artist, retail owner, or enthusiast. We have a ton of fun in store for you. Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show.
You're listening to the Wise Guy Radio Show.
Hey, what's happening? Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show, episode number 110. This is Jay Michael, your host. Thank you so much for tuning in today. With 17 years of experience behind the torch, I am as excited as always to share with you conversations with artists, sharing their stories in hopes to inspire and entertain while helping you grow your business. And today is no exception. And today is a first part in a 5-part series we are doing on selling and pricing your work. This is going to be covering day 1 or episode 1, part 1. It's going to be all about selling to a distributor and how to price your work, and also how to go about getting a distributor in your life to help carry your work and promote you as an artist. So I'm definitely excited to start this series. We have a lot to cover. It's going to be very informational. Again, this is not only just my opinion. I have reached out to many artists and friends talking about these concepts and topics, and definitely would love some input from you as well, how you go about selling your work. If you have any questions, definitely please reach out to me, info@wiseguyradio.com. Don't be afraid to send me an email and ask some questions if you have any. You can also hit me up on my Instagram page. It is Wise Guy Radio. And it's actually WiseGuy_radio. It's WYZGUY_radio. That's my Instagram page for the podcast. And you can go on there and leave a little comment or a question under the post for this episode that will be going up there later today. Also, I have a page dedicated under our resources. So if you just go to wiseguymedia.com, and you'll see up there in the menus, just click on the tab that says resources, come down, it'll say distributors. You can click on that. It'll have a small worksheet that you can print out. Also, this episode itself will just be episode 110. This will be on here as well. But I'm also, with the resource page, keeping that as a separate entity, so you guys will have access to all the different topical PDF downloads that we'll have for you, all the worksheets and whatever. And also, I'm going to be recording today how to actually fill it out for the new YouTube channel. So as well as tutorials on glass techniques, also we'll be having tutorials on how to fill out the paperwork properly. So if you have any questions, they'll be there to answer for you. Yeah, so pretty excited about all that, and excited about the series too. And this has been one of the series that I've been putting off a little bit because I wanted to make sure that I had all my shit together, as well as not just having my opinion. Because when it comes to selling our work as artists, it's one of those type of topics that's very personal, and there's a lot of different kind of facets, I should say, for a word, that are involved when it comes to selling our work. Now, there is a difference between selling, say, your production versus selling your art. It's like a one-off type of thing. When it comes to production, There are fair market value pricing out there in terms of what the industry standards are, but also there's a lot of other factors that are based on locale and also economic situations with your neighborhoods, all kind of fun stuff that are involved. So we're definitely going to be covering all of these areas throughout this series. But again, today we're just going to be covering how to go about selling to a distributor and also how to figure out baseline cost for your items when it comes to figuring out how much you should charge to make sure you're actually charging the right number, because you can charge too much and your shit won't sell, or you can also undercut yourself and then you end up leaving money on the table for them to hold on to. And once you have a price set through a distributor, typically the distributor will not change the pricing on there because their customers are already adept to paying for what their pricing already is. So just some things to think about. But before I get too off topic here, I wanted to make sure you guys were aware that there are some new webinars coming up here pretty soon that we want to make sure we get all involved in to help out GlassPatternsMagazine.com. GlassPatterns.com actually is the actual website. But Maureen, who is involved with the Flow and also Glass Patterns, she has been putting on webinars for a while now. And the newest one's coming up we have with Barbara Becker-Simon, Hollow Flame-Worked Beads. Should be a pretty badass episode, or webinar, I should say. June 14th, you'll be seeing that one. Josh Mazzett's doing one on marble making and boreal critters for June 16th. Mylan Townsend's going to be doing his flame working dichroic glass one on June 21st. And then Joe Porricelli is going to be doing one on cutting glass, referring to cutting stained glass and what have you for doing different patterns and fusing and slumping and different stained glass work as well. Very exciting stuff, and I like the idea with the webinars and how they're coming together to really give us another new outlet, in a sense, for learning techniques besides just relying on YouTube. So definitely check out GlassPatterns.com. You can go there, click on their webinar page tab, and it'll have all their upcoming series going on as well. And then with the Flow Magazine too, another one of our awesome sponsors. Make sure you guys go to flowmagazine.com, check them out. And also, if you want any of the past publications, you can go on there and pay for those, request them, get them at a discount. And they also have all of their past episodes. I don't know if actually, I shouldn't say all because I'm not actually 100% sure about that. But they do have a shit ton of past episodes, issues, I should say. Magazines are issues that are on their website that you can either get as downloads or you can just pay for them at a discount as well. And the newest upcoming episode, or I keep saying episode. Oh my gosh. The next issue coming out for the Flow is going to be their collaborative issue, which is pretty awesome. I'm really pumped to see what's going to be going on in there. And anybody out there that is interested in having anything in the Flow magazine, definitely hit them up, theflowmagazine.com. You can contact Maureen, and if you want to... Oh, shit. If you want to leave an do a editorial article, a tip, tutorial, be involved in publication itself, or also advertise through the magazine, definitely hit her up for more information on that. Again, just go to theflowmagazine.com. Also, the links are in the show notes page for all of that as well. I just need to get a little sip of my coffee here. Maybe I don't cough while I'm doing my thing. Besides that, super excited about what's coming up. We have some awesome interviews and shows coming up here in the near future that I am getting ready to record and also have in the banks for you guys. A couple folks that are, I'm not going to tell you who they are because I want to save it for the shows. But they are people that have been very instrumental in moving this industry forward in not just lampwork techniques and sculptural stuff, but also just in the pipe community in general. And super excited about that. And going to be getting into some talking about torches and whatever. And speaking of Torch Talk, if you guys haven't checked out yet, a couple weeks back I was on Torch Talk Tuesday on their YouTube video. I did a demonstration on making flowers. We had some technical issues, but I guess they had it figured out. And I think most of the demonstration has been viewed. I mentioned it in the last episode as well. But thank you again to everybody who has sent me pictures of their flowers they made or made a comment or what have you. It definitely feels good and verifies to me and just reinforces in my head and confidence that I know what the hell I'm talking about when it comes to teaching. So I'm really excited about that. And also will really give some integrity for the upcoming series I'll be doing on my YouTube channel for techniques and all kind of fun stuff. Not only just glass techniques, but also setting up your studio space. And again, the PDFs we're going to have, all that stuff. It's going to basically be the podcast episode, but in a visual form on the YouTube channel, which I'm excited about. I'm going to actually be recording today for the new PDF download we have for this upcoming episode on the distribution stuff. That's going to be basically a little fill out form for you to go in there and just calculate your baseline prices on your works again, so you can really fine tune what you're selling it for to make sure you are making enough money. So besides that, oh man, I'm sorry, I'm yawning. Fuck, it's been a long ass week. Last episode I mentioned how last week, and I'm sure in 5 years from now this is going to be completely irrelevant, but finally have more or less gotten all my stuff taken care of and out of the way for having my identity stolen per se. Last week when I had my checking account and also my PayPal debit account was hacked. So again, I'm going to put this out there. If you currently have a debit card, a PayPal debit card, anything online, passwords, all that shit, I recommend that you go right now, hit stop on this episode, go to whatever your logins are and change your passwords, change your PIN numbers. You should do it monthly. And I know it's a pain in the ass and it sucks because it's constantly having to remember shit. If you have like an Evernote or a Note app in your phone, it's a good place to store it as long as you're the only one that can get in your phone. If you have it, password locked and whatever, just so you don't forget what your passwords are. But it's so important. I've just heard so many horror stories of people losing thousands and thousands of dollars, also having their credit destroyed because some asshole out there stole their shit. And I don't think my social security number was compromised. I think it was, actually, I don't know what happened or how it went about. But I did go through the proper steps of filing a police report. I closed all my accounts. I had new debit cards issued as well. And just contacted all the companies that I had any automated recurring payments coming out, so that way they knew and were aware of the situation. So if they tried putting a payment in and it didn't go through at the time, they understood why, and I wasn't going to be charged extra fees, type of stuff. So just be proactive. It's one of those kind of things where if you procrastinate on these type of situations, in the long run, even a couple days, literally you can be completely fucked. So it's this week has been trying to run a business without having access to cash. And the only thing I've been able to actually do for the business this week was ship orders, and that's because my ability to use my PayPal to pay for the post office shipping online. So just a kind of another word of advice out there. So anyways, it's been 10 minutes. I'm rambling on. I'm going to get the hell out of here, and it's time for us to start our new series. Again, please go share this episode and show with all your friends and family. To iTunes, you can go on there and just have them search for Wise Guy Radio. If you have not already subscribed to the show, please do so now. Also, leave me a 5-star review if you feel the show deserves it, and also a written review. Show me some love. And also, make sure you go to wiseguymedia.com and go on there and make sure you do it so you can get up to date with our email list and stay up to date on all the happenings that are all wise things in the area of Wise Guy Media. And here we go. And now it's time for us to get into part 1 of a part 5 series all about covering the pricing and selling of our work. And today we are diving headfirst into selling to a distributor. I personally sell my work through 2 distributors and several retailers directly. The benefits of both allow for a consistent income without putting all of your eggs in one basket. On one hand, you have a catalog through a distributor that has a broader reach of distribution, allowing for more exposure of your lines of work. Most distributors take a 15% fee off the top of the wholesale, so if you sell an item for $10 wholesale, the distributor will then pay you $7.75 per item. If you calculate your time and gas that it takes to drive around and hope to sell your work, it is more beneficial to work with a distributor. But when you first start out, I recommend starting off by selling to a select few local shops and have them help you fine-tune your right pricing based on their customers' feedback with the sales of it. In the long run, you can then fine-tune your own lines and become more consistent with your work as well as the pricing, which you can then approach the catalog companies with. And don't forget, when building relationships with the distributors, it is important to remember that you need to mail off free samples to give them a physical sample of your work. This allows them to settle on pricing, and then if they accept the item, they have it for photographing it for their catalog. If you decide to go this route, there are a few details to take into consideration. First, distribution companies tend to buy in bulk, which means you will need to be able to keep up with orders if your lines sell well. If you get large orders and you're unable to keep up with your orders for these companies, they will probably not buy from you in the future. So keep that in mind. If you have 3 items that they pick up and they order 50 of each, that's 150 items that you will have to make for that order. Now, it's great money and also great consistent orders, but you have to be able to keep up with it. So just remember, keep that in mind. Remember about that kind of stuff. Number 2 is to purchase your materials in bulk, which will save you a ton in overhead and shipping. If you order 6 or more cases, then freight will be an option to ship, which will then save you tons of cash in the long run. Also, wait till companies like Mountain Glass have a monthly sale on clear or color, and you can get a great discount. Remember, cases probably cost around $30 to ship. So if you get 10 cases, that's $300 in shipping. Or you can have it sent by freight, and that'll only cost you around $120. Now, not all freight companies will ship directly to your house, so keep that in mind as well. You may need to go to the distribution company, that is the freight company's hub in a sense, to pick up your materials. So you need to get a pickup truck or maybe rent a U-Haul. So some things to consider in pricing. But generally, most freight companies will be able to ship to your house. Even if they have to park around the corner, they can just bring it down to your house on a cart, which I've had done before myself. So whether you buy your material in bulk or single cases, always estimate your cost to manufacture based on the regular pricing, not the sale price, as well as always include shipping in the cost of a case. If you buy a case of 1-inch heavy wall and it costs you $130 before shipping, then the actual cost will be around $165. And that's because you have around $30 to $35 in shipping. Remember, most companies that sell glass that is 5 feet in lengths, the UPS has an additional $15 charge for those type of cases. So think about that when you're ordering your glass as well. Some folks like to get their glass if they order small amounts of glass. Mountain Glass, for instance, will cut those tubes in half, which will then make them easier to pack in a smaller case, which will then save you on shipping. So just some ways to go about it. But you should still make sure you price your materials based on if you were just ordering a regular case of glass and paying for regular shipping as well. So now you have a case of glass that's costing you $165. You now need to divide that cost by the number of tubes in the case. So, for instance, a case of 1-inch heavy wall has around 24 tubes typically. So take 24, divide that by 165, and now you have an average estimated cost of what it's going to cost you per tube. And then if you have a 5-foot tube, then you take that 5-foot, break it down into inches, which is 60 inches, and now you can figure out how much it costs you per inch in your clear. Real easy ways of doing your calculations. And below, I have on the show notes, which I'm about to read from, is your basic calculations for figuring out the cost of manufacturing your items. And this is very important when it comes to dealing with the distributor, because you need to make sure your pricing is set at a point to where you're not overpricing it so that they have trouble selling it, but also so that you're not underpricing it so that you're leaving money on the table. These are the kind of things you can find to make sure that when you're doing distribution work, you should be making a minimum of $30 an hour profit. An average studio day for myself cost me around $10 to $20 an hour to work, just based depending on what I'm doing. But if I'm in just basic production mode, doing just typical production stuff, which has been a while, but when I did do it, it was costing me around $10 an hour to work. So just some things to think about. So now I'm going to get into a basic calculation example when figuring out the cost of manufacturing your items. And here's how to calculate your cost of production. In this example, I'm using reference from the internet, which has material priced based on length. And again, this is a generic example where we are using a 3-inch wrap and rake hand pipe. The materials to manufacture this hand pipe is a 2-inch section of 25.4 heavy wall Simax, a 1/2-inch section of cobalt bursts, and also a 9-inch section of 4mm clear for raking. And I figured out these calculations based on some samples I made before doing these numbers, just to kind of get an idea of what it actually takes to manufacture these pieces. Also based on items I used to make years and years and years ago that I haven't made in a long time. But it's all still the same across the board. No matter what it is you're making, you just need to fill in the blanks. So the material breakdown, the 2-inch section of Simax 25.4 heavy wall, a 60-inch section of tubing, which is 5 feet, costs $8. And that's averaging around 13 cents an inch. So for a 2-inch section to create this piece, it's costing me 26 cents. Then I use a 1/2-inch section of cobalt firsts, which costs $5.25 for an 18-inch rod. So for a 1/2-inch of that, it costs 15 cents. And then a 9-inch section of 4 mil clear for raking. It's averaging around 52 cents for a full-length rod of 60 inches. And that's averaging a 9-inch section. It's about a dollar or a penny per inch. So you have a 9-inch section is going to cost you 9 cents. Now to estimate the total cost of goods for the 3-inch wrap and rake spoon, you have 26 cents plus 15 cents plus 9 cents equals an estimated 50 cents. So now you get into figuring out the overall cost in general. Now, you have to remember, if you're renting a space from a studio, this is going to be an easier process for you. If you own your own space, or in terms of renting your own studio space, or you're working out of your house, you still need to figure out the baseline cost of what it is to manufacture in that space. Not using raw materials, but what your propane, your gases, and your electricity is costing you, also with your rent involved in that as well. So I have here, for my example, I have it where you have a monthly costs of around $1,500, again, covering your power, your rent, and your gases. And then you break that down per day and then estimate how many hours you work in a day and use that number as a base calculation. So for this example, at $1,500 a month, and it's a 30-day month, I approximate it's $50 a day to work. And if I work a 10-hour day, it's costing me $5 an hour to work based on the gases, the power, and the rent. Now you put that number aside, and then you start the process of then adding it into what it costs you to manufacture your spoon. So again, our example of the 3-inch wrap and rake spoon, we said it costs us roughly 50 cents to make. But if we make 10 of those an hour, that's going to cost us $5 an hour to make, right? So you need to figure out that your 3-inch spoon, if you're making 10 an hour at $5 a piece, your estimated cost total to manufacture that item, including your gas, your power, and your rent, is $10 an hour. So therefore, you go and you add your $5 for your rent, your power, and your gas, plus the $10 spoons you're making per hour at 50 cents a piece, which is $5 equals $10 an hour to manufacture 10 $5 spoons. So now you figure out your net, and then you can figure out your gross. Now remember, your net is your revenue. Your gross is revenue minus cost to manufacture and everything else that's cost there, including shipping, which then will equal your profit. So if you net $50, and that's if you made 10 $5 3-inch wrap and rake spoons, and you take the $10 it costs to manufacture that we figured out before and subtract it from the $50, then it's going to leave you an estimated gross of $40 an hour. And an 8-hour day, you could make $320, which is pretty effing good. That's $320 profit. So you can see just by getting a good baseline down for estimating your cost to manufacture, you have the ability to make anywhere from $30 to $60 an hour in gross profits. Remember, your net is your revenue, and your gross is income minus cost to manufacture, which then becomes your profit. And this is not boring stuff. I mean, it can be kind of boring, but I'm just tired, and I need to walk and get some carbon dioxide out of my lungs. I'm yawning here, sorry. So now you need to take 15% of your profits and put that aside for taxes. And that's a serious thing. Remember, 15% is a high number for some people, but if you pay 15% every quarter and your estimated cost of taxes, then at the end of the year, if you overpaid, you get a refund. And then if you just kind of underpaid a little bit, then you can just have a small bill for the tax man at the end of the year. So let's do a quick recap on how we came to figure out these numbers. Again, a 3-inch wrap and rake spoon is costing us approximately 50 cents to manufacture. If you can make 10 of those an hour, that means that hour it costs you $5 to manufacture those 10 wrap and rake spoons, and that's only in raw materials. And then you take your other estimated cost per hour, which is $5 for your power, your rent, and your gas, add that to your manufacturing costs of materials, and that makes it so that it then costs $10 per hour to create 10 $5 wrap and rake spoons. Those 10 $5 wrap and rake spoons are then sold. You made $50. Now you take that $50, you subtract it from the $10 that it costs you to manufacture, which then leaves you with a $40 gross profit. So after you have this calculation of $40 an hour, you still got to remember you need to take into consideration shipping costs. You may have some other miscellaneous costs. If you have like a water jug in the studio from like another company for water, you have little miscellaneous costs that are in there. So you got to take into consideration all of those things. But at the end of the week, if you made, say, 100 $5 wrap and rake spoons, you know it costs you 50 cents a piece to make those 100 spoons. Just do the math. It's really simple. Just add it up and add it up and add it up. Fill in the blanks. Do the math. There's no reason you should not be able to make $30 to $60 an hour gross profit. That's profit, which means that you've already taken out the money that it costs to manufacture and also run your studio space. So if you do the math and you do this properly, then you will be successful and setting yourself up for success. In the past, I didn't do this shit. I just would make the money and then I'd pay my bills. And then I would be like, okay, I got to go buy some glass to make more shit. Let me make a couple spoons and go sell them so I can buy some more materials. And it became a vicious cycle, and it became very stressful and just wore me out. And I know a lot of people out there in our industry have been doing that for years and still to this day do it. And it is not an easy thing to break. So if you start this habit early on in your career or in the very beginnings, or just start it now, it's going to help you for years and years and years to come, and will help you to grow your business and your profits and help you to become financially successful. And then you can take this extra money that you're making and you can figure out how to pay yourself a salary, which I discussed in a past episode. You can also take some of this money and invest it into a mutual fund, which we've discussed in past episodes. All this stuff comes together and culminates. And this, again, is why I feel a distributor is more beneficial, because a distributor is going to order anywhere from 50 to 100 of these pieces at a time. And this, again, is just one sample example of a cheap-ass piece. $5 spoons. So if you're selling a $5 wholesale to a store, that means the distributor is probably going to pay you $3 for it. So do your math. You know, it's real easy to do. You can also take this baseline calculation at the very end, subtract 15% off that, and then you have a better idea of what you're going to be putting in your pocket because your distributor is taking 15% off the top. So I hope this helps you guys. It makes a big difference when you can sit down and actually calculate this cost and the numbers and everything else, especially when it comes to figuring out your pricing. Truly figure it out. If you say you set yourself up and you only wanted to sell these for $4 or for $3 and it's costing you $6 to manufacture, well, then you're in the negative and you're in the red, which is not good for business. You want to try and stay in the black as much as you possibly can. Now, when you're starting off early on in business, you're going to be dumping all your money back into your business as much as you can to continue to help it grow, buy more supplies, buy more materials. But in the very beginning, if you can set yourself up to where you then buy bulk every, say, 3 months or every 6 months, and you just buy a shit ton, you spend a couple $1,000s at a time, and you set yourself up for success too, because you're not only saving money in cost because you're buying in bulk, saving in shipping, but you're also not having to worry about buying materials down the road. And if you need to buy some things here and there to fill in the gaps, you can. So hope, again, this guys helps out. Just let me know, please, if you have any questions or comments or concerns. info@wiseguyradio.com. You can go to Wise Guy Media and go to wiseguymedia.com/110. That'll be the episode for this, which has all this information in there with the show notes, as well as you can go to our resources page, which has the PDF on there, which you can then download, print that out, and fill in the blanks, which will then help you also to figure out your costs and everything else in the process. In part 2 of this episode, we're going to be talking about selling to retail stores, the trials and tribulations, and the heartaches that can come along with selling to retails. It's not always an easy thing selling, and we're going to get into that discussion here next Friday. All right. And, again, thanks for tuning in and for being patient as I get all this together for you guys. I'm going to try and keep these episodes to 30-minute quick episodes just to pack as much bite-sized information into this as possible. So once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 110, and we will talk to you on the next episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show. Please, again, go to iTunes, subscribe to the show if you have not yet, share it with your friends, leave a 5-star review and a comment below on the review area for iTunes, and also down below on the show notes it says comments if you have any, leave one there. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Love ya. Take care. Peace. This episode is also brought to you by C-Cube Co. C-Cube now creates a wide range of specialty and one-of-a-kind artistic glassware, items such as hand-blown wine crafts, insulated coffee mugs, pint glasses, and custom piggy banks, plus glass pendants that you can have personalized with imprinting, logos, and color accents that are available. Just go to C-Cube Co, that's SEACUBECO.com for more information. That's ccubeco.com. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show. If you have any questions, comments, or remarks, please leave them in the show notes page area where it says comments. We'll see you soon. Have a wise night.